Recognize Senator Markey.
No, thank you so much. And Mr. Bradbury, I've been in Congress long enough to remember when the auto industry used to say it's not cost effective to put airbags in vehicles. Raises the cost of the automobile. And didn't want to do it, fought it. But hundreds of thousands of lives have been saved because of airbags. What price do you put on that? All those lives that are saved. So I just raised that as a rhetorical question. Mr. Bradbury, thank you for being here. In the last few weeks, Elon Musk and the DOGE team have wreaked havoc on the federal workforce through buyouts and mass layoffs, despite assurances from Secretary Duffy that public safety workers would be spared and critical categories of workers such as FAA technicians and engineers that inspect aircraft were fired. Musk and his group of unqualified cost cutters say they are doing this in the name of rooting out waste and excess in federal programs. Mr. Bradbury, you worked at the Department of Transportation during the first Trump administration. Did you witness significant waste and excess during your tenure during the Trump years at the Department of Transportation?
The Department of Transportation has an important practical role, and I think the career staff at DOT carries out that role with dedication and professionalism. I admire them greatly. It was not my experience that there was a lot of excess staffing. I do know that staffing has increased considerably since then. The funding has increased considerably. There are a lot of new people who have been hired.
That's not accurate. When you left, there were 57,000 employees at the Department of Transportation. And today, as we sit here, there are 57,000 employees at the Department of Transportation. And as you just observed, you did not witness excess when you were there with those 57,000 workers. And today, the workforce is the same. So obviously, I'm a little confused where the excess might have been created if it's the same number of workers.
If I may, we can always get more efficient. Industry does that, and there's always a need to take a look at where we can do more with less, where we can improve outcomes with greater efficiency.
No, and that's a different question, okay? That's a different question, okay? You could have made it a lot more efficient, if that's what you're saying, during your time during the Trump administration, and I wish that you had. But to then impose that on a Department of Transportation with the same number of employees, I think, is unfair. So this is, without question, going to be a difficult subject area. But the burden of proof to prove that there's excess is clearly on the administration, not just an assertion of it, given the fact that there was plenty of opportunity for 4 years for it to be rooted out in the previous administration. And for the sake of argument, let's say DOT has suddenly become bloated over the last few years. If an administration were intent on rooting out that excess, do you agree that identifying the positions to cut without risking public safety would take a little time?
Well, it's an important goal. It's critical. And I think the Secretary is committed to that, and it needs to be managed. And I would look forward to being involved in helping him manage that process.
So it is fair to say it would take some time then, given the fact that there were 4 years during the first Trump administration rooted out, it would take a little time right now to identify that excess? In other words, just to contrast that approach with what these DOGE boys are doing inside of agencies right now. They're doing just the opposite. They're going in and slashing without having done the evaluation that professionals like yourself had an opportunity to do, and they have no professional background in doing it.
My impression is what's involved is very smart people with new analytical tools that haven't been available perhaps or haven't been used in government previously can very efficiently identify areas of obsolescence, areas of waste, areas of inefficiency, and we can address those.
And again, I'm not disagreeing that there could be a study, but I don't think 4 weeks really is enough time to have analytical tools applied to an area of expertise where there has been no access to it up until just January 21st of this year. So that's where the problem sets in, because brilliant people like yourself were not able to do it. And with all due respect to the DOGE boys, I don't think that they have a superior knowledge of the internal workings of the Department of Transportation.
I'm not a software engineer, I'm not a brilliant tech person, but it does seem sensible to bring in some of those brilliant
And again,
tech
I don't have any problem with bringing in new approaches, but software is only the information you put into it. It's who writes the analytics, okay? It has nothing to do with the zeros and ones. It's all has to do with what was the assessment of the actual factual information put into it. And 4 weeks is not enough time to figure that out, no matter how smart you are. You can write an algorithm, but only with the information that is given to you. So there's just no way that the administration is conducting a careful review of the cuts and its impact on public safety. And there's no reason that DOGE is targeting probationary employees first. It's not because they are the most expendable or the worst performers, it's because they are the easiest to fire. And really, that's what it's all about. But it can directly endanger American lives if it's not done correctly. And that's why today, this morning, I sent a letter with 12 of my Senate colleagues in a letter to Secretary Duffy urging him to cease these dangerous workforce cuts and demanding answers about where the layoffs, the buyouts, the firings were happening within the department. So there's transparency, so we can understand where the cuts are, so we can see where the safety risks may be. So otherwise, it's just reckless endangerment that will be occurring. So I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I look forward to working with you, Mr. Bradbury.
Thank you, Senator.